Hey everyone, and welcome back to You're Still Doing That? The Rethink, the podcast proudly listened to by tens of people from around the globe. Here's what's coming up on this week's episode 9. I'll have the Miller update. I'll tell you all about what I've been watching. My rant this week is Pride Month and sin. Hold on to your hats for that one. And the You're Still Doing That portion is all about something I've been for a long time and most of my life, and that's being fat. Here's some quick stats from last week's episode, which brought in 18 downloads. So we're starting to grow a little bit, folks. And yes, we still have our one loyal German listener. Our German friend, man, you've got to reach out. You've been with us for every episode this season so far. Highly appreciate you. Reach out, man. You can leave a comment on Facebook or Instagram. You can email me. You're still doing that at gmail.com. But let me know who you are, man. I'm interested. Here's some other stats that you guys may not be aware of. Over the past month, well, each week I'll probably just update you about how the whole month has gone for listeners. So this past month, we've had 65 listeners. And so I thought this week I would tell you where people are in the United States that listen to us. So here we go. Folks in the U.S. Oh, hold on. I did not have the right button pressed and the right screen ready to go. All right, hold on. We're getting here. Where they're doing this in real time, people. Let me get to this right page. And boom. All right, here we go. So, in the United States, at least this past week, or past month anyway, coming in number 1, good old my hometown of Sanford. You guys are reigning in strong with 11 listeners, but just 16% of the downloads. The podcast is very, what's the right word? We're very spread out, man. It's not just centralized right here in the Sanford, but most of my listeners do come from North Carolina. And second place is Jamestown, North Carolina. Shout out to the Bursies. I know you guys have been listening. According to my data, you've clicked on my link at least 8 times this past month. So Bruce and Martha, appreciate it. Several folks out in California, which is where I'm from. So shout out to the family of all who's been listening. 4 listeners this past month in North Bergen, New Jersey. So if you guys are in Jersey and you're listening, leave some sort of a message, drop me a line. Coming in at 4% is Salt Lake City, Utah. So my cousin Jesse, probably. Shout out to Jesse. Now we got 3 listeners in Ashburn, Virginia. Let me know who you are, man. I don't know anybody in Ashburn, Virginia that I'm aware of anyway. We got Austin, Texas represented and Fort Worth, Texas represented. That might be my family, the Dobsons, but let me know. And then I got 3 that I don't know who you guys are. We got a listener from El Dorado, Arkansas, which I would not think there'd be a town called El Dorado, Arkansas, but let me know who you are. Evanston, Illinois, want to know who you are, and Ithaca, New York. Now, my Ithaca listener, you've been on my list before, so I definitely want to know who you are, my repeat listener all the way up in New York. But there you go, folks. There's a little stats about who's listening to what and where they're from. And let's get in with the podcast. Here is the Miller update. I don't know. I need to come up with jingles for these segments. So I might have to, since I'm out of school, I might have some time to maybe write some original music. That might be fun to do. I'm going to go a little backwards on the Miller update. Normally I start with myself. We're going to roll backwards today. Everybody say a prayer for Chrissy. She has a colonoscopy this week and actually tomorrow. So she is starting her fun diet, and tonight she gets to drink the magic shake from her doctor to make her all nice and clean and pretty for her colonoscopy picture tomorrow. So be thinking of her when you listen to this, but it'll probably be over by the time you guys listen to this. But thanks for going first, babe. My turn will be coming up very soon since I'm a few months behind you in birth date. I'll be taking notes on how to handle it like a champ. Owen has a GED orientation this week. Not exactly sure what's going to happen there. I'm assuming he'll probably have some sort of academic evaluation or something like that, but hopefully it's a smooth day for him, and he is still in high hopes to start his program, Youth Build, at the end of the month. Ollie's still holding down Golden Corral. She's got all kinds of funny Golden Corral stories. We could do a whole podcast of all the weird stuff that we've seen at Golden Corral over her, I guess it's almost like 4 years she's been working there. But her car that we got for her last year, sometimes it likes to lose power. It'll shake and stumble and lose power, and she'll pull off on the side of the road, turn it off, turn it back on, no problem whatsoever, good to go. And so we've had a CarMax place look at it that's in their warranty, and nobody can ever find anything wrong with it. So since she's going to Western in August, I took it over to my buddy Travis, who's a wizard, mechanical wizard, and he had her car diagnosed in like 5 minutes. We dropped it off with him, and then we left, and he was ringing my phone before I got to the driveway, and I'd already found the problem. Evidently, her car has OnStar, and so the readings her car is giving to the OnStar computer do not match, and so OnStar is trying to shut the car down and not let her drive it. And so that, of course, is why when she turns it off and turns it back on, everything gets reset and she's fine. So we will be making a couple phone calls and talking to Chevy and seeing if they can fix that, because evidently that kind of stuff only Chevy can do and not Travis the Wizard. So we'll keep you updated on Ollie's car. Sophie's still at Piedmont Farm Refuge. She starts Zaxby's this week. So that'll be sort of a tale of two jobs there. But her favorite thing to do at the refuge is to braid goats' goatees, which is kind of funny. She takes pictures, and since I'm out of school, I'll see if I can post during the week for people that follow the podcast page of some of the stuff we talk about, and we'll see if Sophie's cool with showing some pictures of her goats she works with over there at the refuge. Now, I went backwards because my portion is a little bit longer because for the past couple weeks, man, I have been dealing in the throes of poison ivy. I did a whole bunch of yard work a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and it had an itch that started on my leg afterwards and started bugging me, and took a look at it, and then there was a secondary spot on my leg that had come up, and I didn't know I had poison ivy in the yard. But the last time I had a breakout that was similar to this was about I guess it was over 15 years ago. It was a long time ago, but I had a shingles outbreak, and it was similar, but this one was on my back, like right where my belt is on my shorts on my back is where that came up. But I just thought it was shingles, man. So, because it was all on one side of my body, all the rash, it was just there on the right-hand side. So I went to urgent care and told the guy about it, but he was pretty quick and said, nope, it's not shingles, man. Evidently shingles is on your torso and up. It doesn't really go below the belt line. So he said I probably just got into some sort of weed or something doing yard work, and gave me an antibiotic and a cream and sent me on my way. Well, the cream and the antibiotic were like almost absolutely nothing. I mean, it may have dulled the itchiness of the poison ivy, but it didn't stop it because by the time I was done taking that antibiotic, like half my leg had started turning red, and I was not sleeping through the night. The itch was so bad. So I went back, and the dude wasn't sure if it was poison ivy, but he put me on the poison ivy treatment. And then I did go back, though, and I looked to where I was doing yard work, and sure enough, poison ivy was there, confirmed by some taking some pictures and asking Google, hey, is this poison ivy? So anyways, poison ivy confirmed. Told the doctor about it. So he put me on this round of steroids, and those things have thrown me for a loop. Like day one of the steroids was actually really great. I was super productive. I took 5 of these, I think it's prednisone, I think is what they called it. Took 5 of these little pills the other day. I think it was maybe Friday last week. The last day of school is when I started it, I think. Took those pills, highly productive and focused. Body felt great. Leg didn't bother me at all. Just work, closing up school on the last day. It was great. But then by Sunday, day 3 of taking 5 pills in a row, those roids were kicking my tail, man. Nauseous and head rushes, and evidently they got me dehydrated. Anyway, so I did a little research on what to do, got myself back in shape, and so I still got, I don't know how many more days of roids, but I take but now I'm on 4 pills a day. I do that for 3 days, and then 3 pills a day for 3 days, and 2 pills and 1 pill, and so forth. But the crash coming off these roids is it's not light. Usually about middle of the day, my head rushes will kick in, and like nauseous and a little dizziness coming down off the roids. So anyway, when you're doing yard work, man, watch out for that poison ivy, man. Catch that stuff early, because these roids business is not very fun. But that's been my world for probably the last 3 weeks has been this poison ivy on my leg. I wish I would have caught it sooner and maybe would have wrapped everything up in just a few days with a little over-the-counter mess. So I've been watching a lot of stuff this week. I watched Day of the Jackal on Peacock. I streamed it on that app. Very good 10-episode series. It's very James Bond, except our James Bond character does not work for MI6. He is just an assassin. But MI6 is chasing him throughout the series. He assassinates several high-profile people in the European area of the globe, and MI6 is chasing him because they find out he is of British background. So, Day of the Jackal on Peacock, very James Bond kind of style. Especially the music in the intro to the show it's an exact rip-off of James Bond stuff. The show stars Eddie Redmayne, who I like. I first saw him, I forget the name of the movie. He was a kid at the time, and he was an aspiring ballet dancer or something like that. Eddie Redmayne, he's very, very good as the assassin in there. Sort of a little bit of a soulless psychopath. He's your best friend one moment, and then slicing your throat the next as he's on his mission. Also, for you Game of Thrones fans, the big bad, evil villain in the show is Mr. Lannister. I can talk. I'm telling you, I'm recording this on the downshift of roids, and it sort of got my speech weird. Mr. Lannister himself from Games of Thrones, the head Lannister guy. He is the big bad, super evil villain guy in the show, but he's not the main villain Mr. Eddie Redmayne is going for, but he's like the big boss. And this show is definitely going to have a second season. Day of the Jackal is not a one season show. There's definitely going to be a round 2, but very good stuff. I finished up Mobland on Paramount Plus. Yes, we do subscribe to too many streaming channels, and yes, we need to cut some of them. Mobland is great. It's got Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren as the husband and wife of a big mob family in England. They are Irish, and the accents are great. Highly recommended if you like, gangster stuff and all the violence and all the little one-liner gangster stuff they like to say, and everybody stabbing each other in the back. Really good stuff. Mobland on Paramount Plus. Highly recommend. And to wrap this section up, starting this week, I'm going to start the Raiders of the Lost Ark trilogy, but I'll be watching it at our beautiful local theater, Spring Lane Cinemas. They'll be on for their Way Back Wednesday promotions. They'll be showing the first Raiders this week, the first week of June, and then the next week, of course, will be Temple of Doom, and the third week will be what's the one with Sean Connery? I can't remember off the top of my head. They will not be playing the fourth and fifth ones, which I think most people probably agree probably don't belong in the Raiders hierarchy of films anyway. But if you're local and in town or semi-local, come out on Wednesday. You'll be able to see Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and is it Resurrection? All right, now I'm going to look this up in real time here. I'm going to do a little tappy on the keyboard up here. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Let's see. We want a trilogy, and I'm sure some of you are already screaming at me. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade. I should have known that, the Crusades, because they go get the Holy Grail. I almost said the Goblet of Fire. Oh my goodness. And I'll talk about Harry Potter at some point too. Yeah, so come on out, Spring Lane Cinema. You get to watch all those beautiful Raiders movies on original 35 millimeter print. It's not a digital copy. It's not a DVD. It is on reel, just like you would have watched it when they came out in the 80s and 90s. Get yourself some popcorn and a cherry Coke like I will be, and make a night of it. 7 o'clock, Spring Lane Cinemas. Come on out. What are you still doing? No, I don't like that. I have to come up with some jingles for this stuff. But for the still doing that portion of our podcast, I am going to talk about something that I pretty much been doing all my life, and that is being fat, ladies and gentlemen. I've always been a plus-size guy all of my life that I can remember. When I was little, my mom, would take me shopping for jeans. Of course, we went to Sears. I'm sure a lot of people in my age demographic remember shopping at Sears for pants, and I'd always have to get in the husky section. I tell my mom I found out whatever age I was when I was little, and the doctor told her to start feeding me like some solids, but I was like, I don't know, whatever it was. Now it's too young to feed your baby solids, but in those days you did, and I was like, that's why I'm fat. My doctor made me fat. But specifically, I want to talk about just a little bit of, and I'm sure a lot of you do this too, just the up and down with weight. And I expressed this today in hopes that I will be more in control of my weight and eating choices going on in the future. So I thought, maybe if you spill the beans now, it might be motive to make those better choices down the line. So let's see. My first change in my body type, I guess it happened, 2013, I think it is. Chrissy had started doing a lot of work on her weight and her body, and had been pretty successful. I, of course, was supportive, but I was still feeding my face with all kinds of nasty, delicious food. And then Chrissy joined CrossFit in Sanford. This is probably about 2013 she did. Or maybe 2012. I'm not sure. It was my last year at Southern Lee is when all this started to sort of happen, at least for me anyway. But Chrissy had started before me. We'll say 2013. And she started doing great. She was slimming down, putting on muscle, gaining control of her body again, feeling good, moving great. And she had been dropping hints about me coming in to the box over there. And I was, very reluctant, as most people who are ashamed of something who they are, they push back at change or come up with some excuses for anything they feel shame about. And so that was me. So one day I came into the box because the lady that ran it is friends of ours that we knew from working at Little Italy back in the day. So we were familiar with each other. And she basically told me flat out that if I didn't join the box, that Chrissy and I would get divorced. She was going to get slim, trim, and she's going to be looking good and probably wondering what she's doing with this bag of dead weight over here. And that really, hit me to the core at that moment when she told me that, because it made a lot of sense, because I had seen it before where one partner improves their lifestyle somehow and then ends up ditching the partner they had and moving on to someone that fits what their lifestyle is now that they've changed. So I joined the box and started putting in the work with Chrissy, and the two of us lost a ton of weight. We gained a lot of muscle. Of course, those that know me best know that I went on to start running, and I went nuts with that and ran marathons and ultra marathons, and my longest, I think, was like 56 miles. I was trying to hit 60, but my feet, that's a whole other podcast too, my poor feet, couldn't do anything else. But went nuts with the whole CrossFit, eating well, and or I should say eating correctly, or using food as fuel for our bodies more than, I guess, for pleasure. So anyway, did that all the way up until, let's see, then we got out of CrossFit about 2016, about when old Overlord Trump came into office, and got out of the box. Then the dynamics of the place changed slightly under our illustrious emperor leader's rule. So we ended up phasing out of there, but I kept running. I ran like a madman. I still kept my weight in check. My biggest races and marathons were post CrossFit. I did a lot of training, a lot of running. I did running streaks where I ran for every day for longer than a year. I think my longest streak was 500 and some days. I almost made it 2 days of running at least 2 miles every day. Anyway, this is a long story short. Stayed on top of stuff, but then my hip started to bother me in 2018. That was the last marathon I ran. I remember training and my hip bugging me, and I was nervous if it was going to sidetrack all the training I had done for that marathon. And after that marathon, the City of Oaks with Mr. Bruce Bursey and Chris Shover, shout out to those fellows who trained with me for that run. I really took a step back from running, and every attempt at running after that was more painful all the time with my hip. I tried stretching, some yoga. I tried to check my weight a little more, but I was struggling with running. And I ran less and got a little heavier, ate a little worse, And then COVID hit and we were home, and that's probably where the eating really fell off the wagon. But my hip was really gnawing at me. It was a daily hurt every day then. And I think in May of 2020, they let us go into school, and we basically had one day to pack up our room and to clean everything off the walls because they were going to spray and sanitize each room for COVID every day. And they told us things on the walls, especially if they were paper, may get damaged. So anyway, we went in and cleaned everything up. But that day of packing up my room was hard. I was sweating. My hip was killing me. I could barely make it through the day just doing small little tasks, moving things around. My hip was awful. And that was the day when I said, I'm going to the doctor. And got x-rays, and he was like, yep, your hip's terrible. And agreed that a replacement was needed, or the only fix for the pain anyway. So that's when I had my hip replaced, was in 2020. And when I got my hip done, I was about 25 pounds heavier than my marathon run. So I guess I put on about 25 pounds in that 2 years' time. So not too bad considering where I'm at now, and too shameful to say what that number is. But after I got my hip done, I didn't do anything about weight or fitness. I was so scared I was going to re-injure my hip. My doctor constantly warning me about what I do and the potentials of popping my hip out of joint. So I was really super aware of what I was doing and super scared to start fitness again. So things just kind of spiraled. Chrissy and I did try CrossFit a second time around here locally, but it's just so expensive. It just was not financially in the cards. That's a very expensive fitness habit to be a part of a box. And of course, being a teacher and Chrissy also working for the state, that was not in our financial cards. So that only lasted a few months before we realized that was stretching us too much. So we've just been sort of going on it on our own, but of course, that's awful and it's not working. So telling the story here in hopes that at some point in the future, I can have a check back in, and hopefully with some more positive news about better things that are going on. So we'll keep in track in there. So I'm sure some of you also have similar stories of dealing with weight and all that stuff. And that might be a segment we get into later on, sometime down the line, maybe when I get a little bit more versed in all of those feelings and what all that means. So until then, I guess hopefully I'll keep moving and I'll keep you guys updated. And now it's time for the rant. So normally my rants are about little small things like gas station pumps or lines or whatever. But this morning, real bright and early in the morning, I'm an early riser to begin with. So I guess it's about 5 a.m. I've probably been up since about 4. The roids. That's kind of weird, folks. For any of you taken a steroid pack, I'm sure lots of you have, but this is my first experience with it. So anyway, had me up and raring to go this morning. But anyway, scrolling through Facebook, and we are now in June, so happy Pride Month to everybody. I've been seeing all the folks posting and their support and things like that. But I saw a friend of mine from high school. He was a very good friend of mine in high school and through middle school, but we haven't spoken in years, just occasionally catch up through Facebook and things like that. But I read his post this morning, and I wrote a script because I wanted to be at least get my words out correctly, because sometimes I tend to ramble. But so I'll try my best to stay on script. But his post read, and his post was pride themed with the rainbow flag and everything in the background. But the words in each of the lines of the rainbow read, "Maybe if we spent a month celebrating God instead of celebrating sin, our nation would see revival of God's blessings." Well, the next few thoughts in my head were not very godly at all. I didn't leave a comment. I knew it wouldn't do any good. Like I said, it was 5 a.m. But his post has been sitting with me all day. I can't shake it about just how his post drips with hypocrisy and bad theology. So I decided to do a little research to help sort through my frustrations and to decide what kind of response I wanted to give. And then I knew my podcast will definitely be my response. As most people know, when you've got somebody online that's so far to one side on their viewpoints on something, you can argue up you want all day long, but most of the time, those people are not willing to change. Even if the truth and facts and mounds of scientific evidence are right there in front of them, they're still going to say, "I don't care. I don't believe you. The sky's red. It's not blue. That's just what I believe. You can't change my mind." They're going to be like that, even on just the weirdest of things. So I don't bother leaving a comment because my buddy is, I think it's Pentecostal. I'm not sure what it's called, but he's a minister. And so anyway, I decided to make my response through my podcast and use it here in my rant section. So I'm not going to call him out by name because I do like to try to keep things positive. In fact, just yesterday, I decided I'm going to start a Buddhist practice of praying for four different folks each day in hopes to build my outward positivity. I forget the Buddhist name for it, but the nice English translation is called loving kindness meditation, or it's called loving kindness meditation, where you take the time out and you pray for someone you love, pray for, I got to research some more, my brain blanked. You pray for someone you love, like a lot, like Chrissy or one of my children. And you pray for somebody like a friend. Then you say a prayer for somebody you're maybe like more an acquaintance, somebody you're just sort of neutral for. And then you're supposed to pray for somebody that you absolutely disdain. So I don't know how that's going to go. But anyway, I'll tell you about that another week. Maybe my friend will be on my Buddhist prayer list. But every month in this country, we take time to honor a different community, identity, or cause, often rooted in survival, resilience, or service. And pride is no different. Let me read you a quick little list. January, we got is basically, like New Year's, Martin Luther King. It leads up to February, which is Black History Month. March, Women's History Month. April is Autism Acceptance Month. Also, a lot of people use April since it's got Earth Day, use it as an Earth Month. May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Also Mental Health Awareness Month. June is LGBTQ plus Pride Month. We also have, of course, Juneteenth, which is new. Of course, I'm sure our Supreme Overlord leader has probably already tried to ban it. July, of course, is Month of Independence with the 4th. We also have National Minority Health Mental Awareness Month for July as well. August doesn't have any big celebrations. Just considered a back-to-school month. September and October are Hispanic Heritage Month. Hispanic Heritage Month runs from the middle of September through the middle of October. October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month and LGBTQ plus History Month. Also Halloween. And, of course, November is Native American Heritage Month, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving. It's also the unofficial start to the holiday season. And of course, December is Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, galore, whatever your religion is, it usually celebrates the birth of that religion in December. So that's a crazy month. So pride isn't about glorifying sin. It's about honoring people who have been systematically hated, kicked out of churches, disowned by families, and killed, often in the name of God. That is not sin. That's survival. That's testimony. And if Jesus stood with anyone in the Gospels, it was the people that religious hypocrites, like my friend on Facebook, have cast out. Here are a couple Bible verses for those of you that like to quote Scripture. John chapter 8, verse 7, let him who is without sin cast the first stone. I can tell you, nobody listening to this podcast is without sin. In Galatians chapter 5, verse 14, the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command, love your neighbor as yourself. So, what would be a good revival is if Christians spent a month actually acting like Christ, feeding the poor, visiting the sick, loving people unconditionally, not shaming people for who they are while hiding their own skeletons. And we all have skeletons. My friend is no different. Usually the ones casting the biggest stones are the most guilty of sin. So yeah, you want to celebrate God? Start by listening to the people God made in his image, because nothing drives people away from Jesus faster than someone using his name as a weapon. Thanks for listening to the podcast, everybody. If you keep up with us online, drop a comment on Facebook or Instagram, or you can email me. You're still doing that at gmail.com. Thanks for listening. I seriously appreciate it. Keep doing the work, keep showing up, and remember, some of the best parts of life come from things you're still doing. Be good, be kind, be nice, and everyone have a great week.